At dawn mist still clung thickly to the mountainside, while the temple bell rang out deep solemn through the silent air. Leaning on his cane, Tran Dinlong climbed the stone steps one by one. Age had bent his back with the passing years, yet his steps remained steady. This was not his first visit here, but it was one of the rare times he carried a wish so heavy it felt almost unbearable. Inside the main hall, incense smoke curled softly in the air. Master Hien Kong sat in meditation, eyes half closed, his expression calm as an autumn lake. Hearing footsteps, he slowly opened his eyes. Master Tran. You have come again. Tran Dinlong pressed his palms together and bowed deeply, a rare gesture from a man who had once held life and death in his hands. Master, this time I have come to beg. Master Hien Kong gestured for him to sit. You seek this for Tran Hao? No. Tran Dinlong shook his head, his voice rough. This time, I am praying for my granddaughter-in-law Mộc Tiểu Dao. At the mention of her name, the hall seemed to grow even quieter. The master waited in silence. She is a good child. Kind and gentle. Tran Dinlong tightened his grip on the cane. She loves my grandson with her whole heart, without calculation, without resentment. And because of that, she has suffered far too much. His voice trembled, his aged eyes reddening. I watch her grow thinner by the day, see her endure everything in silence, and my heart aches as if it were being cut apart. Master Hien Kong sighed softly. Each person carries their own karma. You know this. I do. Tran Dinlong nodded. But I am still selfish. I want to take care of her. If one day she leaves the Tran family, I do not want her to leave empty-handed, nor do I want her to carry wounds that never heal. He looked up, his eyes filled with pleading. Please, Master. Divine her fate. Tell me what her future holds. I ask only that she may live without worry in peace and happiness, even if she is no longer the Tran family's granddaughter-in-law. Master Hien Kong studied him for a long moment before standing. He cast the divination blocks onto the wooden table. The dry clack echoed heavily through the hall. After a while, the master closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his gaze was deeper. Mộc Tiểu Dao. Her fate is soft, yet her blessings are profound. She is born to give, to suffer first, and to be blessed later. Tran Dinlong held his breath. Then, what of her love? Her bond with Tran Hao? The master paused, his voice lowering. It is a bond of debt. There is gratitude, there is repayment, but he is not her final harbor. If they cling to it, both will suffer. The words cut away the fragile hope in Tran Dinlong's heart, yet also brought him a strange relief. At least Tiểu Dao's pain would not be endless. If she leaves, he asked slowly, will her life be better? The master nodded gently. If she leaves at the right time and lets go, when she should, her fate will open. She will meet benefactors, build her own career, and live in peace. Love will come late, but it will be with someone who truly cherishes her. Silent tears slid down Tran Dinlong's wrinkled cheeks. He turned his face away. That is good. That is enough. But, the master continued, before she leaves, she must face one final trial, not of life and death, but of the heart. If she overcomes it, she will truly grow. Tran Dinlong stood and bowed again, deeper than before. As long as she is safe, I am willing to trade my own blessings. Blessings belong to each person alone. Master Hien Kong said softly. But your sincerity, heaven and earth will remember it. When Tran Din Long left the temple, the sun had risen high, dispersing the morning mist. Standing at the foot of the steps, he took a deep breath. A decision slowly became clear in his heart. Whether Tai Dao chose to stay or leave, he would quietly arrange a retreat for her assets, a career protection, so that one day she could live with a smile, never needing to look back on the painful years spent in the Tran family. Elsewhere, Mok Tai Dao suddenly sneezed, a strange warmth rising in her chest. She did not know that there was an old man, one not bound to her by blood, who was silently spending the rest of his life praying for her happiness. The day Mok Tai Dao was discharged from the hospital, the sky unexpectedly cleared. Soft sunlight streamed through the long glass corridor, reflecting off the cold tiles and casting the slender shadow of the young woman. She walked slowly, each step light and cautious, as though her body, so recently pulled back from the brink of death, could not endure any haste. She had grown much thinner. Her pale face was now almost colorless, her lips faint as morning frost. The simple dress she wore only emphasized her fragile shoulders. Yet her eyes, still clear, still quiet, held less hope than before. The Tran family car was waiting outside. Trần Hạo did not come. Only the butler. Tai Dao nodded politely, neither asking nor showing disappointment. Emptiness had become so familiar that it no longer hurt. As the car pulled away from the hospital, the place where she had nearly drowned, the place where she finally understood her position in the heart of the man called her husband, she closed her eyes. The Tran family main residence. The main estate remained imposing and silent. As the gates opened, ancient trees lining the path rustled in the wind, as if witnessing yet another turn of fate. Tai Dao stepped down from the car, a sense of unfamiliarity washing over her despite having lived here for some time. This place had never been her home. Only a temporary shelter. Until she was pushed away. The butler led her into the study. The heavy wooden door closed, sealing off the outside world. Inside, Tran Din Long was already seated by the tea table. Wearing a simple grey sweater, his silver hair framed a face far more somber than usual. When he saw Tai Dao, he stood at once. Not as the powerful head of a family, but as a grandfather worried for his granddaughter-in-law. "Sit down," he said gently. Tai Dao bowed and sat opposite him, her hands folded neatly on her lap, so well-mannered it made one's heart ache. He looked at her for a long time. He remembered the first time he had seen her, small and trembling, beside Tran Hao's hospital bed, frightened yet unyielding. She was the one who had pulled his grandson back from the edge of death, using nothing but courage and silent love. And now, she had become the one most deeply wounded. After leaving the hospital, he finally asked, "Have you thought it through? What do you plan to do next?" Tai Dao was silent. Memories flashed through her mind: the silent wedding night, the days of care without gratitude, the moment he saved Dun Lan and left her sinking, the divorce agreement she had signed with trembling hands. She took a deep breath. "Yes, sir. I have. If you stay," she said softly, "I will only be an excess presence in his life." He clenched his hand. "You haven't answered my question," he said. She looked up, her gaze clear and painfully calm. "I want to know. If I stay, what will you do?" After a long silence, Tran Din Long answered firmly, "If you choose to stay, I will acknowledge only you as my granddaughter-in-law. No one else. Even Tran Hao, if he dares hurt you again, I will take everything back from him." Tai Dao was stunned. She smiled faintly. "I know you care for me." She bowed deeply. "But if my husband no longer wants me, staying will only make things harder for everyone." At that moment, the door opened. Mok stepped in. If Trần Hạo does not want her, he said calmly, I will take my sister away. Trần Đình Long closed his eyes. After a long sigh, he spoke again. In country, I have an old friend. She has no husband, no children, and is a leading expert in gemstone design. Tai Dao's heart trembled. It may suit you better there, he said. A new environment. A new life. She bowed deeply, gratitude filling her eyes. As she stepped out into the sunlight, she knew this might be the last time she stood here, as the Tran family's granddaughter-in-law. And perhaps a new life was waiting ahead.